This mutation is called Wheel of Misfortune, and it is being played on the Vermillion Problem. We have one mutator that is active, and that is Chaos Studios, which is resulting in an additional 3 mutators. And we'll talk about this in just a little bit. First of all, let's have a look at the masteries. So we have Vorazun, who has picked 30 points into the Black Hole duration, 30 points into the Shower Guard duration, and 30 points into the initial Spirit Energy Mastery. Pretty much the optimal selections over here for Vorazun. Vorazun is triggering me by selecting the B2 Warzone Prestige. Han Horner has gone for, interestingly enough, they set their level to 120 because you cannot play Chaos Studios on the custom mutation game, but they have done interesting. There's also 1 point allocated to Stronger Death Chance Master here, which does not do anything, but we have 20-10 split, and then we have the 15-15 split here for Han Horner, and they have picked the Galactic Gunrunners Prestige. So both of these guys, intending on memeing, they are well aware that they are not afraid of no mutators here. So let us talk about the Wheel of Misfortune mutator, probably the least popular weekly mutation in the community because of the randomness. I know Ancalagon does enjoy this, but I think this mutator itself is not really a problem. It's just the implementation. Like, the randomness is interesting, but the issue that I have with it mostly is that it doesn't give you counterplay. The mutators cycle out and then just instantly cycle in, and if you get something like propagators and you have an army unit right next to where the propagator spawns, you basically lose the entire game. So I think there could be small improvements made to this to make this a little bit more manageable. So just giving you maybe a 30-second heads up saying, this is the mutator that's going to be activated. Might be a little bit better. But basically what this mutator does is it cycles a random mutator out of a list every 90 seconds or something like that. There's a certain time period where that happens, and basically mutators get disabled, and then you have a 30-second break, and then one mutator gets added again to the mix. So the starting mutator set here is we have Going Nuclear, Lava Burst, and Evasive Maneuvers. Actually all really good mutators to deal with at the start of the game because they do not affect the early game for these commanders. And sometimes, like I said, this is just completely based on randomness, which is why it's people do not like this mutation very much. You may get mutator sets that may just require you to just restart and try again, so you roll a really nice mutator set. So for here, in this case, this is actually a really good set here, and you can see already these Urglings getting cleared out very, very quickly. Shadow Guard also being spawned here, and the Shadow Guard now will go ahead and clear the expansion. Just be aware of this Going Nuclear mutator. Lots of nukes coming down. There are also lava bursts here, which are a bit of a problem, but these Shadow Guard now will clear out the expansion here, and there we go. So Going Nuclear has been disabled, and we have Pure Fire Beam now that has been enabled. So this will create this Pure Fire Beam here. And one thing to note is that the mutator at the top is the one that gets cycled out first. So as you can see here, the Lava Burst is going to be the next mutator that will be cycled out. So sometimes, if you get really, really lucky, you may end up with a mutator that does nothing. So I think might be something like Aggressive Deployment. I think if you get that at the top of the list, then it means that you're never going to be subjected to that mutator, and it's basically a freebie for you. So do consider that as well when you are dealing with the mutator sets that you are getting. Very particularly important when you're dealing with the first one. So yeah, overall, both these commanders doing okay. They've cleared out the expansion. Unfortunately, that one Mutalisk has managed to clear out the Dark Pylon that Vorazun put down. But Vorazun is more interested in getting her gases out. Those gases are going to be very, very important. And now we have another, the Shadow Guard is just going to end up clearing out the rest of Han Horner's expansion. And now all there's left is a Corruptor and a Mutalisk there. So Lava Burst has cycled out, and now we have Diffusion being added. Now, Diffusion can be a little bit of an issue here. Diffusion can be very, very nasty when you're dealing with ground compositions here, or when you're dealing with compositions that like to get in your face, which is like melee compositions. And something like this, Invasionary Storm, can get pretty nasty as well. That one Corruptor just being really annoying with Evasive Maneuvers. Evasive Maneuvers will be cycled out on the next run of Chaos Studios, so that'll be a little bit better here. And I did ask Ancalagon to get a replay where he got some really nasty mutators. He said he was not happy with this because the mutators that he got were fairly simple, but I cannot subject people to constantly trying this mutation over and over again just to try and get like a really difficult set. So my apologies in advance if the mutator difficulty is not up to par. It is just completely a luck of the draw. There is no way of guaranteeing an easy or, in Caligon's case, a difficult set of mutators to play up against. So some more Magmines get used here. Magmines will be able to clear out most of these units, but Vorazun will have to be a little bit careful here. The fusion can get pretty nasty. And evasive maneuvers now has been cycled out, and we will see what comes up next on Chaos Studios. Again, we have Alien Incubation. Again, really nice mutator sets right now. If you end up with mutators that are really easy to handle, especially in the early game, you can improve your economy and get to a late game army, and then you can pretty much handle anything like Void Rifts and propagators and all sorts of other nasty stuff, so it becomes a lot easier here. Diffusion being a little bit annoying for these Shadow Guard, but they are able to clear out these units. The one random Corsair is going to end up shooing away the Overseer, and over here as well, Warzone just going to be jumping in and clearing out the rest of these Zerglings with the little Broodlings here as well. So what do we have here for Han and Horner? Are they building their strike fire platforms? They have, at the moment, they have not one strike fire platform yet, but that will be coming up as soon as their economy is set up and running. At least I hope so. That would be very, very ideal. And the crystals now are going to get deposited into the environmental stabilizer, and all crystals so far have been collected, so all is good here. And now again, a little bit of an early time here to try and get this. Unfortunately, the probes get pulled over there to kill off that one broodling. Probes not having any of it. Purifier Beam has been cycled out, and now we get the first reasonably difficult mutator to deal with, and that is Double-Edged. So Double-Edged will deal the damage that you deal to Amon's units back to the unit that was dealing the damage, so it can get a little bit nasty here, but we have a small warband of Centurions here, so the Centurions now will be able to also soak up at least some of the damage here for these units. But there is a lava surge coming up here, and these Centurions do not want to be on the low ground, so those Corsairs are just going to like up and leave. These Centurions have to take the long way around and wrap around here to the central island. So we'll wait for this lava surge to finish before the next part of the mission continues. And call down wise, we still have time stop available, and space station reallocation will be coming up very, very soon, and call on the fleet also ready over here. And so all these Corsairs now are actually essentially interesting that Warzone is going for a lot of Corsairs, given that they are dealing with the invasionary swarm. So it might be interesting in just disabling these units. We already have Disruption Web, we already have the Stealth Drive upgrade, and we also have now Dark Coil, which allows the Centurions to stun units they actually charge at. So over here, all seems to be pretty good. Calling the fleet getting used here to try and weaken some more of these enemy units. Diffusion has been disabled, Speed Freaks has been enabled, and now there is a time stop, and Vorazun is going to start pushing right through this enemy base. But remember, Double-Edged can get pretty nasty. You can see these Corsairs just melting away because they deal an insane amount of damage to unarmored light Zerg units that are flying. So a lot of damage here, but that should not be too much of an issue. Han Horner can actually repair the Corsairs as well, so that is something else that is a possibility. And yeah, this Dark Coil upgrade being very, very useful, and we also now have the Cell Charge upgrade here. Apparently the Dark Coil upgrade actually disappeared from that list here, but it'll come up eventually. The co-op observer interface is a little bit iffy when it comes to co-op upgrades. I mean, remember that Starcraft, like the observer interfaces was never made for co-op, so just like writing this code and stuff, I tried to hack a lot of the stuff to just make it work. It's very, very tricky. So there will be a few things that will be a little bit weird, but nothing really too much. But anyway, we have Shower Charge upgrade now has been researched as well. So we have another attack wave over here, but that attack wave will end up getting cleared out by Han Horner with the mines here. So reasonably well handled here. And now there's another attack coming up here as well, another attack wave. And Twister has been enabled now. So this will be handled by, or at least the attack wave is going to get handled by the space station reallocations. So I think all the crystals have been picked up as well. So Warzone, we have another lava surge coming up. Warzone just going to be chilling over here, stun locking that one lurker, and then we're moving back here now and just waiting for the lava surge to complete. Double-edged is going to be the next mutator that'll be cycled out. These Centurions, okay, these Centurions do get recalled back here to the Dark Pylon, which is kind of nice. Nice play from Vorazun here, and now we can see that we have the first set of strike fire platforms made for Han Horner. We already have 10 strike fire platforms ready, and these strike fire platforms now are going to be used to start attacking some of Amon's forces here, and Han Horner will eventually start to ramp up their attacks as well on Amon's bases here. So Lava Surge will be fading away sometime soon, and the next set of crystals, these ones are actually pretty spread apart, so it's going to be a while for Vorazun to be able to get all of them, but it's very important to try and prioritize the crystals which are on the low ground, because those ones will disappear. So this one's on the low ground, this will end up getting picked up here. There is an attack wave over here, which is a bit of an issue, because I do not know if there's anything here to try and stop this attack wave, and this attack wave, remember, has speed freaks, so that's going to be a bit of an issue as well. Double-edged has been cycled away. We'll see what the next mutator set is. This could be really nasty for some difficult mutator set, but we have actually Scorched Earth again coming back, so should not be too bad, so that'll be dealt with very, very quickly. Over here, there's going to be a few more enemy units. There'll be a time stop as well available for Warzone to use. This is also on the high ground, so not really an issue. There's plenty of time to go ahead and clear these bases for Warzone, especially with the usage of time stop. So time stop is available. Time stop gets used. Hybrid Dominator gets disabled by this time stop, and now Warzone's Centurions are going to start pushing through. And you can see over here now just stasis on the hybrid. Disruption web, time stop, void stasis. This Hybrid Dominator, very upset that it has been stasis over here. What is Vorazun going to do? Is Vorazun going to stun lock the hybrid? Yep. Stun lock on the hybrid. And this hybrid just has nothing. Just completely helpless. Unable to do anything here. And now we have Just Die active. So this is probably the first difficult mutator of the game. So Vorazun will have to be a little bit careful now. Enemy units will have double the amount of HP, but they have cleared the Hybrid Dominator there, so it should not be too much of an issue. And we also have a 170-second cooldown on time stop, so unfortunately Vorazun will have to push through this a lot slower, and they have to be very careful with this. This one Viper can just cause so many problems. Very nice splits here from Vorazun as Vorazun pushes through, and over here on Horner just using their Column the Fleet to take out this enemy island here as well. So this is actually going really, really well. That one Xenon Crystal is still to be picked up, but again, like I said, there's plenty of time for that. And Han Horner is up to 15 strike fire platforms right now. They're flowing a little bit of gas, but we'll see what their plan is in terms of that. They are getting some more upgrades as well, and they're building a ground army, which is also really nice to see. And Vorazun now making their way towards this island. I do not know if these Centurions will be able to survive. They will need to get Dark Pylon recalled back. Otherwise, they may get a little bit toasty. There's one random Void Ray over here for some no apparent reason. But okay, there we go. So the Centurions will end up using... Why is this Void Ray here? there's one... Okay, there are 3 Void Rays in the army. So it's a really interesting army composition. I'm very curious to know if Ancalagon is trying to troll me or if they have an actually good reason for that. But what is going on over here? That is a really weird effect. Okay, anyway, so we have Missile Command now that has been enabled, and I think that is the interaction with Just Die. It's creating these like big weird things here, but Missile Command and Just Die being active here, and Missile Command is actually pretty annoying to deal with. Like, Vorazun has photon cannons and Han Horner has regular missile turrets. Both are being easily countered by the point defense missiles here, so this will be a bit of an issue for these commanders to deal with, and it's going to be a while before Missile Command cycles away. So are they going to take the pounding? I think they're just going to sit and take the pounding here, but you'll see that because Missile Command was activated at like the 20-minute mark in the game, these things are already starting to spawn a lot of point defense missiles and splitter missiles as well. And by the way, the interaction that I was talking about between Missile Command and Just Die is that if a player unit deals damage to a missile, the player unit gets the Just Die effect. It's really, really weird. It's just an aesthetic bug here, but we now have Speed Freaks re-enabled. So Time Stop gets used by Vorazun. Vorazun will start to work away and try and take out these hybrids over here. There's a lot of charges coming up, disabling these hybrids, stun locking these hybrids, and these hybrids will eventually end up going down. But remember, the Vorazun does have the damage reduction applied to her because she's using P2, and additionally the hybrids have the just die buff, which means that they will respawn as well. So there's a lot of HP over here, and you see Vorazun has to hightail out of there because there are a lot of enemy forces over here to be dealt with. And crystals over here on the low ground, they will be picked up, so those will be that'll be pretty good. But the good thing is just die is going to end up getting cycled next, so once that disappears, we'll see what the next mutator set that they will have to deal with is. There is still one more Xenon Crystal over here that needs to be picked up. Lava Surge is coming up right now, and there is an SCV that is running towards it. I do not know if this SCV will be able to make it, but he's probably going to try and just jump up here onto this high ground just to try and keep this crystal safe. We have Lava Burst active. Oh, the SCV is gutsy. Okay, there we go. He goes back up onto the high ground here. I think he might have actually been able to make it, but it was just a little bit too close for comfort. Storm's coming down on top of the Corsairs from the Hybrid Dominator. Hybrid Dominator getting so much value, finally getting stun locked and killed off by the Centurions. Centurions running into the lava bursts as well, which have been activated in place of the Just Die Mutator. But now this should be a little bit easier. And now Han Horner just using their infinite strike fire platforms to take out Molten Cell. So Molten Cell will end up going down eventually at some point. How many strike fire platforms are available right now for Han Horner? Han Horner has 16 strike fire platforms, and they may be able to go up more. They're still on supply cap. They're still flowing a few resources, but I think they want to have a little bit more of a ground army here. Missile Command is going to be the next one that will be cycled out. So we have Corsairs. We have an army of Corsairs. I do not know what happened to the Void Rays. I think those Void Rays all ended up getting, all those Void Rays ended up dying, but remember that the Lava Burst can be pretty nasty as well over here. Lots of Disruption Webs coming down on the Zerg units, so the Centurions are going to charge in right now. Zerglings unable to attack, and now Han Horner has used their Call in the Fleet to clear this area out. So Missile Command has finally been disabled, so these will be the last set of missiles that will be pushed towards players' spaces, and now we have Darkness. Actually, not a really... Darkness is kind of an annoyance on this map because you don't know where the crystals will spawn, but their completion is actually... They're pretty close in terms of their objective completion, so they should be able to kind of figure out where the next set of crystals will be spawning over here. So the completion does not actually show on the custom arcade maps here. Let me see if we can pull this up. Yeah, so they're sitting at 16 out of 20 crystals, so they already know that these Xenon crystals are going to be over here if we're picking up. Now, the one thing I'm not really sure if an explored crystal remains on the minimap in place of Darkness, or if this is just an arcade bug. But I do know that on this map, if Darkness is active, you do not know where the crystals spawn, so you will kind of have to try and figure out where they are. And knowing the crystal spawns is something that can be very advantageous when you're playing up against a Darkness Mutator that can get cycled through. And if you are unaware where the crystal spawns are, I'm going to plug it in again. Check out Starcraft2Co.com's Vermillion Problem page, because it'll give you the crystal spawns, because the crystal spawns are semi-randomized. They can spawn in certain locations on the map. So there's a random probe here that wants to try and pick up this crystal. I do not know if... Actually, the crystal is on the high ground, right? Yeah, it's on the high ground. So that'll be safe for the probe to pick up, but I'll have to be a little bit careful as he navigates this terrain. One random lava burst may end up wiping this probe out. So next one that's actually going to be disabled is the Lava Burst Mutator, which is kind of nice, and we'll see what the next mutant that will get cycled in is. We unfortunately also have Missile Command that has gotten added back into the game, and you can see here that you can't actually see where the missiles are until they're like over area. They are hidden by the minimap Darkness as well, so that can get a little bit tricky. Space Station reallocation getting used over here to just weaken the enemy forces, and so there's just one last crystal to pick up, and this is the last crystal that needs to be picked up. So one thing to also note about this, about the Chaos Series, which I kind of forgot to mention at the start of the game, is try and clear this as quickly as possible. Try and clear the structures on the map as quickly as possible. And the reason I say this is because Propagators is a thing that you can get from the Chaos Studios. And Propagators, as you know, will not spawn if there are no enemy structures on the map. So anything you can do to simplify the mission will increase your chances of winning against this mutation, because it is a pure RNG fest. So these guys are very good co-op players. They're very confident in their ability to play, so they kind of want, I think, a little bit of a challenge. Unfortunately, they were not able to get it here. The Black Death Mutator has been activated now in place of the Lava Burst, so a lot of these units are going to be dying, but like I said, this is the last crystal that needs to be picked up, and that will be pretty much it. So there is already a worker that has been sent over to try and pick this up. Again, Missile Command just raining absolute havoc. What are the total losses for the commanders? 6 Void Rays have died, 2 Oracles, 14 Corsairs have died over here. We have 7 Strike Fighters, and what else we have? Actually, not that many losses for Han Horner. They really didn't lose very much there. So, again, a few Crystal Lock-ons over here. This probe now is on the way. This probe has actually been infected by the Black Death Mutator. Now, one thing to note about Black Death is its interaction with B2 Vorazun. B2's Vorazun's units, if they are infected with Black Death, I think they do not die. I think they go down to 1 HP and then they remain at 1 HP. They still maintain their shields. So we'll take a look at this probe, but I'm pretty sure this probe is not going to end up dying. Oh, there's some SCVs repairing it. No! No, don't repair! Don't repair for signs, but I'm pretty sure Peter Vorazun does not die. It's actually blocking the probe over there. Okay, let's take a look. I'm pretty sure the probe will not die with this. And one kind of interesting thing about Time Warp is it is actually a universal time scale, so this will actually prevent the damage ticks as well, reduce damage ticks from the Black Death Mutator as well. But I think this probe is probably gonna make it through before we see it. Yeah, the probe is gonna deposit the last crystal into the environmental stabilizer, and yeah, that is pretty much it. So it'll not be known, but those are all the crystals deposited, and that is GG.